Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I am a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to my weekly glow show. Today's topic is twin flames. It's time to cancel your karmic contracts and make a declaration putting an end to all the karmic vows that you've taken on in your past, present, and future contracts during your soul's evolution. Now I'm being shown by guidance. If you think that you've already done this, it's time to do it again. We went through a huge shift in August. We were releasing a lot of things. A lot of things were coming up to clear. So now it's bringing up another layer of things to let go of. And so it's time to do another round. This is something I'm being shown by guidance that we need to do periodically. Through our soul's evolution, because the information is not always to be known until it's time to be revealed, so that we can get our lesson at the moment and at the exact precise time to come to our awakening, so that we get that lesson, so that we can then release that karmic vow or contract. So let's first talk about karma. So karma is not necessarily this very bad, negative, dark attachment. It's really something that we signed up for that is to teach us our lessons throughout every lifetime. And that in those lifetimes, we then get an attachment, an energetic attachment to maybe pain, suffering, hardships, relationships. All those pieces become attached to us energetically in every layer of our being, in every dimension, in every space, in every time. So we need to let go of this karma, which is purifying the soul, but it's also karma. Really, all it means is that you're completing the contract with the vow that you made, and you're getting the lesson out of it. That's really what karma ultimately is. And so a soul contract, let's talk about that then, is the agreement that your soul made with multiple people, any soul relationship along the way, in order to be able to learn a lesson by coming into an interaction with another person. In this particular case, it's our twin flames that we're talking about too, that we've made soul contracts with, and an agreement that we're going to be each other's teachers, so that we can learn a lesson, and that we do this in any interaction between two people. And it doesn't always necessarily mean it ends in this happy outcome, but what it does mean, is that we have awakened to our part in the mirror reflection from the other person coming into our space and time at the exact moment that it aligned, which was contracted to do, so that we could get the lesson that we were supposed to learn from that interaction. And then the vow on that is basically, the vow becomes the agreement that we made in our soul contract that says that we are promising ourselves to learn that lesson, and that we'll do so in the way of creating, the karma, creating the contract, signing up for these vows. The vows, the promise to the self, but signing up for the agreements, I should say. And that basically then it's an understanding that we from the time we incarnate through our soul's evolution, that we along the way, each lifetime, set certain virtues. There's another kind of name for the vow, and that we will continue the process until we get that vow. And it just so happens, and I say get that vow, but really get that lesson. So it just so happens, though, that we start to come to the end of the journey of the greatest pieces of those contracts and agreements when we come into the twin flame dynamic and the twin flame connection. And it takes the mirror reflection of our twin flame in order for us to make that connection energetically, to go through the karmic purge, to vacuum out of the karma that we're releasing, to purify our soul and to really, like, in that karma means learning those lessons to get our deepest ones. That's why it feels like it's the hardest. That's why so many people are like, it feels so hard. Feels so hard. Well, it's because we're mastering some of the greatest lessons that, like, we've came here to master, and we're hitting the big ones of the trust and the letting go and the surrendering, and all of those pieces that require a lot of really personal development and self-actualization. And so by our twin coming into the physical contact with us, they become the greatest teacher and help accelerate the activation for us to go up in our ascension to connect to our highest self. That does not mean that people can't connect to their higher self, and that they don't go through enlightenment and need a twin flame to do that. But what it does mean is the twin flame comes into your physical presence to accelerate the process and to go even just a little bit deeper in some aspects, because they're hitting the deepest core of ourselves in order for us to purify that deep soul within ourselves and to learn that vow that we signed up for. So, as I mentioned, we have a lot of energy that's been purging and shifting through this August eclipse, the August Lion's Gate, and even this new moon energy and the full moon energies that we've had coming into the end of August and into the beginning of September here, all marking the definitive of the end of the old ways and the beginning of the new. That does not mean that we don't still have some energetic attachment to another layer of this release that needs to be let go of. So the guidance is sharing with me a specific kind of way for me to share with you in order to go through another layer of release by canceling your contracts, even if you did them again. So let's talk about the contracts now. So the contract that we've made, we basically made these contracts in our past, present, and even already got future ones made. So now's the time to step up and say, I want to be revealed to me anything that's blocking me from connecting to my highest evolutionary self, my highest purpose, my highest partner, my connecting to source and connecting to all that is, which is my destiny, and getting in alignment with that. So those are the areas that you need to be thinking of, and also asking, because you're not going to get out of a lesson if it's still there just by saying I'm canceling a contract. You might still need to get that lesson. But what you can say is, reveal to me, I'm open, willing, and ready to reveal to me what that lesson is, so it can come up to be revealed, to go ahead and let it go. And to go ahead and then cut the cords and to cancel these contracts in an aspect of doing it on this energetic attachment where it's still attached to you energetically. And some of the big ones I see is pain, poverty, struggles, and suffering. Now I'm going to share with you here in a bit some of what's been reported to me through working with Mariella Alberts, that I'll put her website here, which I talked about in the last video, with the message from the divine masculine to the divine feminine, and that energy report. And it was like an urgent message of understanding where the divine masculine's at. This is kind of a part 2 to that. So there's so much energy that the divine masculine is also clearing. And I talk a lot about how the divine masculine is taking on the heavier karmic load so that the divine feminine can kind of go up in their enlightenment. And so now it's kind of reversing, and it's time for the divine masculine to start releasing that. So the more you can clear this for your own inner divine masculine and within yourself, it's going to help your twin flame dynamic and your twin flame to go through this, because what you do for yourself will also work in tandem with your twin to get the same clearing process. Because a lot of the lessons you take on, you kind of take on the mastery of that together. Although individually you still have your contracts and they have their contracts, but then there's some joint things that come together that need to be released. And there's also blocks that need to be, like cords that maybe need to be cut, that's blocking you from your highest self and these things I mentioned, and then from their highest self and the things I mentioned, which could also be some blocks within the union. So I'm being shown to also tell you to make sure to clear the blocks in self and with union. And from the higher self, you can always, invite your beloved to also connect to their highest self, and to be able to do some of the clearing from their higher self through the higher self approval. But mainly, the more you work on yourself, the more they're going to also feel the shift in this dynamic. Okay, but it's very important to do it within the union as well. So the other piece in this, when you do this, I recommend that you basically write a letter to the universe. And I mean, action speaks louder than words. So physically writing it, physically writing out like a new contract that says, I am choosing to consciously cancel all my universal contracts, vows, debts, and my past, present, future, and to revoke all of that. And every plane, we have a vertical, horizontal, perpendicular, encapsulated. So you want to make sure you hit every plane of our entity, our being, every dimension from the astral, the energetic, the etheric. I'll explain what that is in a minute, but the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, and the physical dimensions of our being. The etheric is the third body that it stores the energy between us and another person, including our twin. We all have our own third bodies with every interaction, and cords, energetic cords, can get attached to that. So you're going to want to make sure that you cut those attachments to those areas as well. So as far as when we have these interactions with people, we could have a past negative experience with them. We could sometimes not even want to let go of, have a trouble releasing them. So we hang on to their energy cords that get attached to us. And these things are having to go now. It's time to release all the past karmic partners and all of the past connections that we've had with past partners. So it's purifying ourselves to be open, willing, and ready in order to have the new divine relationship that we're seeking, and our destiny of abundance of all the new things that are coming to us and attracting to us. So, and that's where people think of karma sometimes as being a negative attachment or dark energy. What that really means is that's kind of more of the law of attraction of what vibration are you attracting? Because it works all the same, good or bad. So are you in a lower vibration, attracting some of the lower negative energies, or you're in a higher vibration, attracting more of the higher vibrational energies? So we want to make sure to release these negative energies, these negative experiences that we're attached to, that's holding us back from connecting to the highest level of ourselves and the highest vibration we are, so that we can connect to the higher vibrational things within our destiny. And so again, canceling those contracts in every plane, every dimension, past, present, future, also in all the elementals. So we have, the earth, water, fire, wood, and metal, like those things. Think about, when somebody has like antique furniture, and they talk about, needing to be cleared because that wood will retain energy. So that's why too, we're purging all this stuff out of us. It can get congested in our aura and get stuck. It can also get stuck in everything in our space. So I always say you need to be doing space clearing with smudging or sage or something like that. I do teach a very specific routine whenever I work with my clients in order to clear space. But one of the things I always say for your aura to clear is to mix 50% rubbing alcohol, 50% filtered water, and then adding in lavender and doing some spraying of your aura and or your sheets at night. Because even at night, we're energetic beings, and we can energetically kind of like release into, the energetic planes while we're sleeping, and we can pick up attachments doing that. And so that's why it's important to clear on a regular basis, energetically, on all levels, regardless of if it's karmic contracts or not. So you can work with Archangel Michael, will really help you cut cords to these energetic attachments and cords, also helping you cancel your contracts. So he's really good about that. And asking him also to protect is a very good way of protection to prevent new attachments of these things. Because sometimes we might even take on an attachment to slander of the Dharma, and we've taken on a karmic vow that says we're not even going to allow ourselves to get in alignment with our mission, and we're blocking that. So, and I've even worked with people that's taken on contracts that say that they're taking on a contract that says I can't cancel contracts. So you might want to add that one to your list in case. And I'm going to share in a minute, like I said, the divine masculine and divine feminine contracts that need to be released. But, so write the universal letter, adding in, and I'll just say this again, I said it on parts deeper. I'm going to say it again in like kind of the whole thing. So write the universal letter that says you're canceling contracts in the past, present, future, all planes, all dimensions, and every lifetime, past, present, and future, and every element of your being. Okay, and then when you do this, add in specifically, like I see on a high level of being pain, poverty, struggles, and suffering. And everyone has their own individual ones that they may be attached to. That's what I help people narrow down to discover and link into these attachments. But you're going to want to add into this letter anything specific for that. And then I would include the ones that I'm going to share with you for the divine feminine and the divine masculine that came through some reports that was retested with Mariella's machine that I talked about last week. So basically, she took some of the things that I had put together through a program I teach my clients in order to cancel these contracts, and she took them and she programmed a test in her machine with all of what I use for that. And in that, then it came up a list from the collective energy of the divine feminine and the divine masculine of what still needed to be cleared. So I'm going to share that with you, and I would add these into that. So it covers that as the majority of release here. And then when you get done, you're going to want to burn this. And the moon cycle energies are a great time to like release this and let this go. But I'm also being shown by guidance to tell you that right now in this clearing, with as deep as it is and as much destruction that's going on energetically in the world and in the earth right now, and the release that it is, that to be focusing on like letting this go 3 times a week for 3 weeks to work this, and then 2 times a week for 2 weeks, and then once a week for 3 months. This is going to help clear not only for yourself, but also be clearing for the collective to help shift the self-destruction energy and more to the self-love and more creating more harmony within the vibration of the collective. And so the other thing is, not only will Archangel Michael help you cut this energy cords, but Archangel Metatron works with all the chakras. And the chakras, Archangel Michael's, I call it the pyramidal energies, the golden shower of cleansing every chakra from the higher self chakras, chakra 12, all the way through into the root chakra, as well as your aura can be cleansed with using the energy of Archangel Metatron. Saint Germain is a very good one to help transmute through the violet flame, the gift of the violet flame, in order to transmute negative energy into positive energy, as well as the inner alchemy and external alchemy and transmutation of the transformation of negative into positive. So he's another one to really work with. Archangel Gabriel is a really good one right now with so much persecution going on, and the helping to speak truth, to work with Archangel Gabriel to help identify your truth and be able to verbalize that. Another one that's coming through is Jesus for the Christ consciousness and the unconditional love vibration in order to help anchor in the new earth heart language through that unified field of the Christ consciousness. That's going to help offset some of the release. So anytime you kind of let go of something, it's nice to also replace it, to bring in some of that Christ consciousness energy as we're releasing the negative aspects. That creates harmony and balance. So now let's see. Another thing would be to make sure to also cut any cords and release any contracts that's attached and associated to your DNA and any of these soul lineage from your family and the ancestors and the cultural type karmic cords and karmic vows and debts that you've taken on, to make sure to cut those, because a lot of times people are attached to that ancestry, that lineage of the DNA. So be sure to address that in this canceling these contracts that you've signed up for as well, because a lot of people have taken on the clearing and creating the new templates for culture and family curses and things like that. So add that to your list. Now that can also be defined specifically for your lineage, specifically for attachments to your family curses. So ask your guides and angels to help you reveal more specifically what those debts and vows and contracts that you've made with that DNA lineage, so you can release it fully, okay, on a lot of levels. Do that also on every level of your being, every dimension, and add it to your list. There is power in writing down and releasing. So when I have clients do this in a physical, like I actually have a form and a format of this letter kind of pre-programmed for them, and then we customize it a little bit towards their specific agreements that I'm able to tap into through the Akashic Records. And I'll talk about that in a second, but you know, putting it in a written format to the universe, saying, I am ready to cancel all the contracts and the attachments to everything that I've taken on, and anything that I still need to come up to surface to reveal to me what that lesson is for my personal aspect of my personal growth, and to be able to know what that lesson was, so I can take that forward and, you know, rectify that. Because I will tell you, I've learned 2 to 3 major past lives that I took on specific, you know, karmic debts and vows for, now that they had to be revealed when they were revealed, so I could connect my awareness and my dots to help me understand what I came here to rectify this lifetime, to cancel the last lifetime. So, you know, and like a couple lifetimes, there were some very specific things that I was attached to that created an aspect of maybe ended up being in some kind of a negative, the old paradigms, let's put it that way. Now we're creating the new paradigms. So I had to know what those paradigms were that I was doing in the exact reverse opposite in this lifetime, to be able to bring in the new template for that. And I could make the connection, and it helps me align in more alignment with my mission and more alignment with my soul purpose. So I understand that connection to my purpose and mission at a greater in-depth level by understanding what those contracts and those vows meant from the previous life. So again, ask for those the very specific ones that are attached to this life that need rectification. Ask for those to be the ones to be revealed, to get your lesson for those, so that you can shift out of those and beyond those. And to be able to also remember that upon the splitting of our soul and our incarnation with our beloved, and, you know, making that agreement that one of us is taking these lessons, the other one's taking the other lessons, that, and the dynamic of that is also to remember that as long as you're working your part of the agreement, they actually will be too. It's like a cog on a wheel that just keeps it turning and keeps everything moving and in harmony. And when the dynamic of one, it's a template. And when the template shifts, the energy within the whole dynamic will change. And trusting that that's what takes place, so that you can let go of needing to be in control, that the fear that you're afraid you're going to do all this work and not get your reward. You're guaranteed that. And you need to trust that and believe in that and understand that and to realize that's how connected you are in these agreements. And that typically the other half of you might be holding up their end of the bargain in their agreement, holding you accountable to some of your parts of the agreement until you learn those lessons. So, be sure to again, ask those to be revealed so you can release them. Now, Akashic Records, I want to bring that up for 1 second here. So the Akashic Records is the Hall of Records, the Book of Records the Bible talks about, the Hall of Records that has our contracts, soul contracts, our karmic vows, debts, all the pieces that we've signed up for since incarnation through our whole evolution is stored in the karmic Akashic Records. Okay. Now, when we work those Akashic Records, they're in the higher chakras of the higher self, and it's in the 9th chakra. And we have to clear out some of those lower vibrational energies within our lower self, our lower chakras, to become awake enough, aware enough to be able to connect to those. And when we do, then the soul star, which is the 8th chakra that's above the crown chakra, it starts to open and activate, all the energy in the higher self chakras. And we can tap into that energy from those higher realms, bringing it in and being able to work within the chakra 9 of the Akashic Records being there. So there's a lot of people out there that do Akashic Record readings. And that actually is where even your soul purpose is in alignment with there. Everything you signed up for is there. Everything you've done along the journey is there. And now legend has it that that energy, because it's really still just an energy attachment, that's how we portal that information in from our connection. Remember, all energy and chakras are nothing but energy vortex or portals that pull energy in towards us coming in, and then also an interchange of releasing. So we're letting go of some of those old attachments, we're bringing in the new. And so in that inner exchange of that means that collective energy from all those records is stored somewhere, right? So legend has it that it's stored in Egypt, and that's where that ancient alien wisdom is, and the starseed wisdom, and the as it is in heaven, so it is on earth, and the Ankh energy that connects us to a lot of the Egyptian culture, being also a portion of where Atlantis was said to be. And so in the Sphinx, which is located, and actually the Sphinx is right there. I've been to Egypt, did sound healing there, and there is the Sphinx right here, and it's in front of the Great Pyramids of Giza. And so legend has it that our records, Hall of Records, is stored collectively within that portal of energy there in Egypt. Now, that's just some of the information I've studied and researched and legend, okay? But as I mentioned, there is an etheric body that's collective, even including for twin flame energy into the galactic. That that energy is collectively pulled. So not only is it in between like our etheric bodies with our twin and a third body, and then with everybody else that we come into contact with, but then when you bring that energy up as a collective, it goes somewhere, right? And so that's exactly like the same thing with these Akashic Records are pulled somewhere. So it's a very interesting stuff. All that, like, I wasn't a history buff in school, but when it comes to the ancient wisdom and comes to all of these pieces and studying the history of this, it's quite fascinating how it all aligns, it all links, it's all connected. It's such a really neat thing to see the bigger picture and see the connections of how this all fits together in the bigger picture of it. So now I mentioned that I want to now share with you the combination of the divine feminine and the divine masculine collective karmic vows that need to be released. And again, Mariella, I put her link here. I mentioned that, but I'm going to say it again. Put her link in the description. And between her and I, we have been doing a little bit of a study, and we are measuring and monitoring some of the divine feminine and the divine masculine energy. And as we get any updates in this, I will keep you posted and updated. But I was just shown through this, and through her, like, also I shared this with her, and she's like, you know, created a test through her machine, the Quest 4, and she was able to then track the collective energy for the divine feminine, and then through Champ with the divine masculine, and came up with the majority of what the contracts that still need canceled. So I would highly recommend you add this to your list, because, you know, chances are you're going to fall into the majority of these. And so with the divine feminine, we'll start there. It's not quite as many, because the divine feminine has done a lot of work and done a lot of releasing and done a lot of letting go. But here are the ones to continue to work on. That is still having a lack of self-love. So there's still some attachment to a lack of worth, and it really is boiling down to being open to receive, and to receive that love, and to especially the self-love. So to be able to ask for any blocks that's preventing you from connecting to that self-love, that it will be revealed, so that you can be open to create more balance within self. Another one is the assumption and the presumptions made by others and self and others. So that would be the same thing as the persecution aspects of worrying about what other people think, and also judgment of self, and judgment of worried about other people judging. So it would boil down to some of the judgment, worrying about what people think, and then because of that will block you from being able to express yourself to your fullest capacity. So again, this is a divine feminine that still has a little bit of a block. Then the destructive forces, and that would be some of the collective energy going on that I mentioned in the universe right now, as to all of the energies from, you know, collectively into the weather, earthquakes, the government, all of those things that are happening right now. That's the collective energy of self kind of destruction to release this. So there's a lot of it coming up and out. So for us to kind of do our part in doing another layer, another cleanse, another letting go of any attachments to the self-destruction or destruction period. And then self-punishment. And I've been seeing this a lot with clients in the last couple of weeks. About the time anything like starts to come through positive, it's creating a self-sabotage to block self from being able to release and let go, to move in and allow. And about the time anything good happens, it's like, I'm going to make sure that I sabotage it. So pay attention to that, because it's a big one for the feminine right now. And so be sure to cancel self-sabotage in your karmic vows and contracts, okay, for the divine feminine. The divine masculine, okay, so there's a little bit more of a list here. Being able to let go of bondage. They've been carrying a lot, the bondage being these contracts. And I said carrying the heavier karmic load is what the divine masculine has been doing. And so now it's the divine feminine doing some of that clearing and carrying some of the release, because we as the divine feminine now have been doing release work for the divine masculine. So some of this that we're feeling is not all ours, and it's not necessarily even consciously saying, I want to take it on. It's just happening because of the mergers of energy now of also helping to clear, which was part of the contract. So being able to release the karmic contracts, the karmic vows, again, even for our own divine masculine side, will help cleanse and clear the bondage that's taken place now on the divine masculine. Celibacy is another big one right now. And so that needs to be like released. In fact, a lot of the divine masculine right now, their sexual activities are being shut down. They're being, like the dimmer switch on the divine masculine brain has went down. The dimmer switch on the divine masculine sexual activity has went down, so that they're not like, we weren't allowed to think as the divine feminine. Now the divine masculine is not being allowed to be sexually active because it's forcing them to go within and to release those codependencies and those co-attachments to the all the sexual addictions and all of those different types of codependencies on chemical attraction is the point I'm saying here, to shut that off. So hunger is another one. The lack of financial currency, and a lot of that's going on with a lot of relationships right now breaking up, and different karmic partners or divorces and things like that happening right now. There's a lot of shift in the financial stability right now going on, so cutting those contracts and cords with that. Having accountability for the karmic attachments of others. So that's where I was saying the divine masculine, who took on a lot of clearing of the karmic attachments to clear for the collective, and including us as the divine partner, so carrying the heavier karmic load. Now it's time for them to let that go. And I said financial currency, but also in relation to that, also poverty. Sexual abuse and sexual energetic blocks that are needing to be released. And it doesn't matter the gender in this. And also doesn't matter, like, there's also some cultural attachments to this. Because when you think about some of the cultures that they don't even want women to, you know, experience sex from a pleasurable standpoint. You know, I've worked with some women that have had sexual abuse in past lives, or sexual, you know, just like they circumcise the masculine here, the men. In other cultures, they basically kind of circumcise the female, and they cut out the clitoris, and that's so there's no pleasure during sex, and it's not supposed to be pleasurable for the feminine. And I've worked with some divine feminine that's had this happen, and we've worked energetically to clear the energetic attachments to those past cultures of that being an issue. So if you're having any sexual issues, even as the divine feminine, you might want to cut some of that attachment to maybe past life. And there may be energetic cords attached to you in your physical body that's blocking you from being able to enjoy pleasure and enjoy sexual experiences. And as twins, we're supposed to be rewarded with the highest ultimate sexual experience that you can have. And so it's about healing that. So being able to come into the highest vibration of self to be able to experience the ultimate reward of sacred sexuality. Then there's the abandonment. So the divine masculine is also feeling the abandonment now that needs cleared. Also self-silence. Again, these are contracts that they're learning and that they've taken on to learn. And we're saying that it's time to cut them. So self-punishment, that's a big one for the divine masculine right now. Accountability for the karmic attachment of others. And I think I might have, this one might be duplicated, but it's really taken on the karmic clearing for others. I believe I said that one. And I mentioned the big ones of pain, poverty, struggle, suffering. Be sure to add that to this list. And so, you know, again, power in writing this stuff down. Get this out. Do this on a regular basis. You know, try to attempt to do the 3 times a week clearing for 3 weeks, twice a week for 2 weeks, and once a week for 3 months. So you can, as we're layering through these final purges, that we're releasing all the attachments and bringing up the final lessons that we need to connect to our highest self, and to do this not only for our own individual self and enlightenment that's blocking us to connect to our highest self, but our highest purpose, connecting to source, connecting to our beloved and all of our divine abundance and the vortex of our destiny, and to be able to come into full alignment with that destiny and be open to receive energetically all that we came here to experience. And then in addition to yourself, also to remember to do this for your union. And that anything that's blocking your union, that's still attached to any karmic debts that are unpaid, that you're canceling the contracts, past, present, future, all dimensions, all lifetimes, every space, every time, and every element, aspect, and all multi-dimensions of your being. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you today, to make sure to keep all channels and all systems glowing forward on fire. So there's going to be multiple ways that you can work with me below. And if you're in need of any of these karmic contracts specifically for you, as well as your cutting karmic cords specifically for your needs, that's one of the things that I use guidance for, and I can help tap straight into that in any past life for you that needs cleared to block you, that is blocking you from getting out of this wheel of still being stuck in some areas. Okay, so you can find my links below. Make sure to like, share the shine, subscribe, comment, and much love to you. Many blessings. May you always face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.